Alright, let's continue our discussion on the brush settings. We call them also options, shortcut O, and if you're curious about shortcuts, you can go to the help file and look for keyboard shortcut reference. Right, so there's a number of keyboard shortcuts, that is, and O is one of them, which stands for, in my books, for options. But you could also basically call it brush settings, and essentially, so this menu here, this floating panel, if you don't have it, just hit O for options, and there it is. And you can tag it down so it stays there even after you make some changes. And so let's go crazy and do some drawing. And let's see at this point perhaps some things we can do with the brushes to begin with. You know, it's one thing to draw something here. It's another thing to go draw it again, exactly the same path. So the most recent action that you drew here, let's draw something like just a zigzag line, right? I'm using a mouse here, obviously, no tablet pressure. If you want to actually use that path, but you want to have a different brush rendered along it, what you can do is you can just assume, well, it remembers it, and then just change some of the parameters. For instance, use a different color, right? Select orange as the primary color, or maybe reddish, or okay, if I say orange, let's use orange, and then use Shift+A. There's a keyboard shortcut for that, Shift+A, so it reuses the same path and renders along that. Now you can change the parameters, for instance the step distance here, right? Let's increase this and go to 8, and Shift+A now is going to put these dots much farther apart, and if you do Shift+A again, they'll just go and drive on top of each other and get a little bit more opaque, or you can set the opacity right there at 100%. Alright, so then you can also use a different color and change the size, maybe make them a little bit smaller. And Shift+A, and so you see the little yellow dot here in the center. Shift+A will take care of that. Now you can also do a couple of other things. Of course, we've seen we can add some random scale, random position. Let's go do that. Give it a little bit of a greenish look, and Shift+A. Now that's a very small dot still going around it here. Let's make it a little bit bigger now. So let's go back to the full size, and I like to get the keyboard focus at the top here on the menu bar, actually on the window decoration bar, the outline, so that it doesn't register a new stroke. If I were to click on the inside here, it would register a new stroke. So you can click here or you can click here, and that gives you the keyboard focus. Shift+A now draws those dots with a little bit of an offset, a random position. Alright, let's give it a step that's really small again. Shift+A, and there you go. Now there's a lot of other things we can do. Instead of the regular mode, default mode, where it replaces the color, we can have it additive. Let's go and add some, I don't know, some pink or purple to green. What's that? What happens when you add purple to green? Shift+A, nothing. Well, not exactly impressive there, is it? Let's add some cyan. Oh, I'm in subtractive mode. Silly me, I thought I was in additive mode. Alright, here you go. Let's go and add that. Let's go and put a couple of other modes, maybe some rub through or clone or smear. Let's use paint smear mode. Right, so you get a smearing effect. You can do that again and again. So let's look at this in different ways. Let's go and render something like a very regular texture, a pattern like a checkerboard, yeah, and put that pattern in there, something like this, right? And then let's go and draw something, just a regular brush. Let's get the right click here and give it a simple large brush over that. But now use undo that, right? U for undo or Control Z, and you can also use this green arrow here, and then this most recent brush stroke, it still remembers it, and we can use a different brush. But this time I'm going to use one of those oily, totally oils, right? Make sure the keyboard focus is still on the application. Something like this here, the main menu bar will usually work, and then Shift+A. and it will smear it along that exact same path again and again. If you hit Shift A again, it will do that more often. Let's go and select the smear brush. Let's see here some of the presets. Let's go and find, where am I smearing? Actually, I don't have shortcuts for that. Effects probably has them. There you go. Modeling clay, smear 100, smudge. Let's get the smear 100. Pretty large smear brush. Right? Click the menu decoration, the window decoration here to get the focus. Shift A for shortcut for again and again. So it redraws the same path, but whatever the current brush is, it will use that. Let's say, for instance, we use some of those favorites like the hot dogs. Right? You will now apply the hot dog along that. Or we have those beach balls. Shift A, there you go. Shift A again. And there's some randomization on the position. There you go. Flowers. So you can experiment with that and just spend a lot of time doing nothing significantly productive, but still enjoyable and fun. So that's one lesson I wanted to just bring forward. A little way to use the Shift A keyboard. Now there's also the regular A, just A for again. And what that does is it cycles through the undo buffer. So you can go U for undo or Control Z for undo as many times as it will remember, and we've done a lot of things here. Right, well, that was my first brush stroke, probably this one. Yep. So if I do A for again, I can go again. Every time that I hit A, low key A, it goes from one brush stroke to the next, and it remembered all these in undo memory. Now how many it remembers depends a little bit on the size of the image, the width and the height, and also how much memory you have allocated in the application for undo. The undo memory allocation, very important. So let's say, for instance, I want to go back to this one here. Right? I like this. Let's go and store that image. Store image. There you go. And let's see how about that undo memory. If you go to the help, and let's see, where is it there? Oh, not the help, the window settings, and that used to be under the file menu under preferences. It's moved over here to window settings in since version 6, I believe. So version 8 I'm using here, and settings will give you somewhere here memory options, how much memory you want to allocate for undo. So you can click on that, and the undo memory I have initially is probably just 40 megs or so. Make sure you put it up to the maximum, 256 megabytes at the time. While you're at it, you can also see if you're happy with where the temp folder is. It's good to learn where that is, because there's going to be a lot of stuff stored in this folder, and over time this might accumulate a lot of images and animations, and perhaps a gigabyte or two of memory or disk space that's used. So you might actually you might free that memory up if you at some point go into that folder and delete it. You can actually go here and select a different folder if you prefer. Let's just not do that and just keep it the way it is. Alright, so that's that, and how shall we end this? Well, let's do a little 3D thing to that. Let's go to the filter, stylize this with the lighting tool. And when we do that, what it does is allow you to put the light source there somewhere, and also multiply the original image into it. Alright, and let's see, what else can we do? Perhaps add a little bit of gloss, like this, and reduce the brightness, but especially the distance, get it closer. So we have one light source down here. We'll make that one kind of a reddish tint, and then we'll add a light right here, and we'll make that light go up here a little bit higher distance and a little bit brighter, like this. Maybe not that bright, but we'll give it a different color. Let's make it bluish, greenish, like this. Now when I did that, it actually created that in a separate layer, and you can have the layer opacity reduced so that it is more dominant or less dominant. Alright, so there you go. Put that there, and you now have two layers containing this 3D lit image. And that will be all for now. Oh, here they are. Let's go merge them, and then that'll be all for there.